Alright, guys. Sorry about that, but it seems YouTube and Google have a problem with anyone talking about MGM Resorts and the Vegas shooting when I'm just reciting what is going on that's in the news. So bear with me while I reshare all these links that take me 20 minutes to do. And we'll get with YouTube on this in a minute because you cut my stream out again. I will have evidence that you do censor, like you tried to claim that you don't to the Judicial Committee, which means you just perjured yourself, as you have throughout all this, because we all know on here that you do censor people. Don't fuck with my goddamn stream. Because I know what's on your servers. While you sit there and claim, oh, we don't have this type of content on here? Oh, yes, you do. And a bunch of us know it. You know, I'm getting sick and tired that you guys, oh, we're not a monopoly. We don't take in all this advertising. Well, you're not. How is it when I search the Judicial Committee, the very link I have in my description, that it was like 20 things down, but yet your idea of news is PBS NewsHour, NBC, ABC, all the ones that were covering aspects of it, burying the creators' contents of the very subject, burying other channels. I thought that stuff was supposed to be on YouTube TV, not on YouTube channels where the creators' content is supposed to be given priority. Isn't that the reason you created your YouTube TV, so you could make millions of dollars and have these networks on there? Why you mix it in with the creator stuff? I don't pay for YouTube TV, so I don't want to see that crap. They have their slot. I want to see the creators of YouTube, the very ones that do videos like this, and all the ones that I follow. I don't want to see the propagandized business corporations fake news. And we can sit there and argue the fact, oh, they're not fake news. Well, I tell you what, when they only adhere to a label, when they only talk and give praise to one side, that does make them fake news because they're not reporting neutral. They're not reporting both sides of the story. They're just propagandizing the rhetoric of one political party and condemning the other. That is not news. That is fake news. We're all entitled to opinions and views. I'll respect the fact that they're entitled to their opinions and views and wish to bring about it, but as we learned in the Judicial Committee, they can't actually do that. Now, can they? Maybe it's time that you are held to the same damn standards. So when you get caught censoring people, cutting their channel out midstream, you can be held accountable. But of course, we know that's not what that three-ring circus was all about. Now, I've been kind and pretty much well patient on the matter up to this point. Second time in a week that you've messed with my live stream, that you've locked me out of it, and this time you terminated my live stream. Do it again, I'll have the evidence. You know, Think about how much work we have to put in to share this content because you don't offer us all the links to the other social platforms out there. The platforms that recognize our freedoms of speech, recognize our freedom of expressions, that recognize and supports us for having views and opinions. Like Gab, The Minds, other Ning sites, and other social media platforms that aren't tied into the monopolized system that Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google have over everyone else. So bear with me, guys, a few moments while I reshare this link since they chose to terminate my previous stream. You know what? In fact, I'm just going to show you the process of what I got to go through. I think you might enjoy this. That way people can see the lengthy process we have to go through when YouTube decides to censor somebody and terminate their stream and not give them access back to the stream that they were doing. See, this is the easy part because, at least to Facebook, it's just a click of the button. Same way with Google. Oh, wait, do this one too many times to Google, Google can hit you for spamming. Yeah, really? Well, we're going to make sure that was retweeted. I don't trust that. Okay, there it is. So it did go through. All right, now we need to go to here. And here. Oh, wait, I don't need to do post. Lucky for me, I realized this trick the last time it happened. Does somewhat allow for a semi-quick fix. But at the same token, how many people were actually watching from these different platforms that just tuned out because it got cut out? But yet they say, oh, that's not censorship. Not at all. All right, I got a couple more places to redo. Then we'll get back into this. Like I said, nothing more that makes you mad when something like that happens. When you're talking about a subject that they don't want you talking about, which was obvious because most people miss subjects we're going to be talking was going to talk about today because of all the things that were trending. Most people didn't catch. And plus, this is going to be for those that didn't know how to embed your videos and Steam it. You just grab the embed code and update your post. And I got 2 more places to do. Fix. Gonna stop sharing for a second on this one because you never know what's gonna pop up in the feeds. All right. Now, heaven forbid we give them something else too. Oh wow, I didn't know that worked. Now this is kind of why I enjoy places like the Mines, Gab, Worldy. I don't have to deal with the censorship crap. That's why I wish D Live had a better stream, allowed us to a different device to stream with. Because once they do that, I will be off YouTube. But for right now, you can only use OBS to live stream it with, and my OBS and my connection is garbage. Never had any luck using OBS. That's why I switched over to XSplit. All right, I'm going to once more try this again. Since I got caught off like well midway into talking about the MGM Resort sues victims of Las Vegas shooting, we're going to start all over again and recover it. which I was just wrapping up before I realized I had been terminated. Like I said, no notification, no nothing. Huh. Well, imagine that. I guess we will share this page. Since my video is still up that got terminated and you guys caught the first 13 minutes of, I was reading from it, but I guess, oops, this page no longer exists. Taken down just that quick. Funny how I was just reporting on it and talking about it. They removed it. More than likely, since I already clicked on it in the Drudge report, I'll have to go back in the archives to find it. But I'm pretty sure the link's null and void because it's the very link I got from here. Well, that's odd. Why didn't my link work? Oh, I see why. I'll have to fix that. Get it. Yeah, I was going to say, like, super odd. The very article I was talking about that got the first live stream messed with, just to come back to find it that I had been removed, I would have been really wondering what the hell. But I've seen it happen. There's that me and Bree have been talked about dealing with, the mayor of Chicago requesting the UN. That's all been scrubbed from the whole internet. But yet I know it happened because I watched it, as did she. We both watched the very news channel cover it, but can't find it. Can't even go go back in time thing and find it. Completely scrubbed. But yet, that's the point. They would say, well, that's fake news because you're talking about something that doesn't exist. Well, how doesn't it exist if so many of us watched it with our own eyes, heard it with our own ears? How is that fake? It's not. All right, that fixes that. Well, at least you guys are getting a little learning lesson on how to do a few things and fix a few things when they get screwed up. See, that's my other problem with screen sharing. When I'm actually screen sharing, I don't have the Hangouts up so I can make sure my voice is still coming through. So when it gets froze up or you get terminated, you don't catch it. And you keep rambling on, reading what you're reading, and end up losing, not realizing that it only recorded the first 10 minutes of what you were talking about. So, outrage builds over MGM Resort's decision to sue victims of Las Vegas massacre. Let's try this again. A lawsuit filed by MGM Resorts International, owner of the Las Vegas hotel from which Stephen Paddock fatally shot 58 people and wounded hundreds, is drawing outrage from the survivors of the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, which is not accurate. Sorry, USA Today, need to do your history on facts. There's been worse. In fact, 1979, there was an event that happened here in Ohio that was even worse. There we go. Stupid pop-up. But, I guess a lot of people don't remember what happened at Kent State in the 70s. The suit filed against hundreds of victims of the rampage October 1st outside Madeline Bay Hotel claims the entertainment giant has no liability of any kind. MGM said in a statement, the filing was meant to provoke a timely resolution for shooting victims who sued or will sue in the aftermath of the attack during Route 91 Harvest Festival. MGM said litigation filed against it must be dismissed. The unforeseeable events of October 1st affected thousands of people in Las Vegas and throughout North America. MGM Resort spokeswoman Deborah DeSong said in a statement, from the day of this tragedy, we have focused on the recovery of those impacted by this despicable act of an evil individual. You know, I agree. It was a despicable act. Like I stated in the previous video before I got cut off, we all have our opinions and views on this matter, and they're important. It's not fake news. It's not conspiracy. It's your opinions and views. It's you doing your due diligence to research things. And I've heard great stories from all sides. It's led me into my own research in the very area. I haven't talked about it, but it's personal information for me. It's personal research. Because I seen this for what it was. Brian Claypool, a survivor of the rampage who represents 75 survivors and victims' family members, called MGM's lawsuit a stunt that won't survive a court challenge. I am still in therapy once a week, and this is their way of trying to solve the responsibility and minimizing the blatant negligence. Robert Eglint, whose firm represents hundreds of people in the case, dismissed MGM's claims as outrageous and accused the company of trying to intimidate victims. Very few of his clients have filed suit, and some never will, he said. In my 30 years of practice, this is the most reprehensible behavior I have ever seen a defendant engage in. Eglint said they are trying to victimize these people twice, and this is exactly what it is. They went through a traumatizing event. They're dealing with the trauma, the aftermath of the event. Some families are still mourning their loved ones that they'll never see again. What MGM Resort is doing is abuse of the law, and so we're going to find out right here what they're trying to do. MGM's lawsuit claims the case must be dealt with in a federal court under the terms of the post 9/11 Safety Act, which provides incentives for development and deployment of anti-terrorism technology. The company says the security firm it contracted for the concert, CSC, was approved by the Department of Homeland Security, thus released back. So we're not questioning the fact that, let me make sure I'm still coming through good streaming, and I know I'm froze up again. But okay, YouTube, you done fucking with me? Looks like I'm back. I think it's very retarded. By the way, YouTube, since I know you're listening, I know your algorithms are listening, I just want to make sure you understand that I am recording this and on a screen share record, and that this very thing has been caught, and I have no problem sending it to the Ohio senator that was on the Judicial Committee with this. You know, it's stuff like this, guys. Understand, if your member of your state is on that committee and they're actually doing their job and not playing the political rhetoric that we've seen take place at three-ring circus yesterday. When you see stuff like this happen, screen captured, mirror it, record it, then take that evidence, because what it becomes, evidence, and send it to your senator. So next time they say they don't do this, they have evidence to show that they are. Not that it'll really make a difference, but you know, when they're on, when they're answering questions, they are under oath and can be charged with perjury. I think they think they're so slick sometimes, and they're not slick at all. Just because you represent a corporation, you think you can make and break and not adhere to our constitutional rights? What goes around comes around. And I don't know where you cut me off on what I was talking about with the MGM lawsuit, but I'm getting sick and tired of having to repeat myself. So I'm just going to pick up where I think I left off. Then we're going to get into the Judicial Committee. Let's see if I can't get through this MGM lawsuit without getting my screen froze up or terminated, like it's happened twice now. At least I didn't get terminated this time. I'm just going to start back up here. Brian Claypool, a survivor of the rampage, who represents 75 survivors and victim family members, called MGM's lawsuit a stunt and froze up again. This is just ridiculous. You know what? Yeah, Rebecca, it's getting quite frequent. I've just closed out that page. There's no sense even trying to talk about it because it seems like anytime I mention a certain word, everything's going haywire. But yet they claim they don't censor. So we'll just get to the Judicial Committee part, and I'll do the MGM lawsuit separate and just upload it. You know, it's pretty sad. I had my first stream terminated halfway into the very same article that I was reading. But like I said, guys, the link's in the description. Read it for yourself. Oh yeah, they do it to me and my friend all the time in private hangouts. That's why we switched over and started using Uber Conference, because it's just downright ridiculous. But yet they want to have the audacity in front of a committee under oath to say they don't do that. They don't censor. Blatantly perjurizing themselves and lying. You know, if we do that, we end up in jail. Yeah, it's kind of what I do like about the Uber Conference. It gives me a private phone number that I can give out to people, and we can hold conferences and stuff. And that way I don't have to give out my real phone number. And it used to be before, we used to be able to use it inside of our Hangouts. So I could take live call-ins during a show. But they removed that feature. Can't imagine why. Yeah, it's always that double standard, just like we seen with the MGM lawsuit. Basically what it boils down to, they want to take all the victims to court so they can't be sued. So the victims can't sue them. That's what it boils down to. They're going to try to get it put into a federal court. I agree with what the attorney had said. What they are doing, they're playing a game of trying to get the best judge that's going to side with them. And that's the other complete mockery of our system. We have judges that are sitting on the bench that need to be removed on ethic violations because they're not neutral. They're adhering to a political bias. They're putting politics over the law. And any case that they have ruled on should be dismissed, because as part of their oaths, that's the funny thing. Lawyers, doctors, they all have an oath that they take. Our Congress has an oath that they take. And, you know, Congress's oath is to uphold and protect the Constitution. Their oath is to the people, us, not their political label. Hmm. That's why I wanted to do this show, because we're talking about subjects that most people missed, because everything that was being talked about was, oh, the Russian summit. What'd Trump say? That's the only thing that was trending on Twitter, Facebook, anything everybody was talking about, where they missed the three-ring circus of a judicial committee, which was actually very educational for those that want to. If you're bored, sit down and watch it. It's almost 3 hours long, but it shows you how messed up our politicians are. It also shows where they were questions on some things. I'm going to bring out just a few points on that here in a second. There's something I want to show that I find very interesting and I find very distasteful that YouTube's doing. YouTube say they're all about the creator, right? Us. Okay. I typed in Judicial Committee because the link I gave you goes to this channel. But before we get there, well, let's see here. We have PBS NewsHour, Washington Post. Oh, Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Imagine that. The Unlearned, House Judiciary Committee. And right here's the video I'm actually talking about. Now, when I first did this search, this was like 15 down, and you had PBS NewsHour, NBC, CNN, Fox, all above it. Washington Post. These aren't creators. Creators are supposed to be us. That's why YouTube, as you can see here, has paid memberships for YouTube TV or YouTube Radio. PBS NewsHour, Washington Post, they should be on their TV network, not interfering with the community and the creators on the regular YouTube platform. I find this very disrespectful to every creator out there. Why? Because this is YouTube getting paid to put these above us. These are already corporate media outlets. Some of them will like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. We have to pay for either a cable provider or a satellite provider to watch. We have to pay for that package. So I find it very disrespectful that YouTube's even doing this. And I think it's funny. Nobody wants to point it out and talk about it. Well, I'll point it out and talk about it since you want to mess with my stream. Just like I might just get a hold of a few people that have private links to some videos and content that's on here, and we might just publicly release them. Which once more would mean that the spokesperson for YouTube perjured themselves. See, I don't think it's what people understand, how the private link works. Yes, the video is private, but like Rebecca, I do a private video, and let's just say I want to select few of my friends involved, or I want it just for my Patreon, which I don't do because I don't have it set up for paid to receive funds. It's just another tool that I can use to reach a different audience. But let's say I did. So I'll create a video, live stream video here, set it private, then I'll share the link with just that tier or that group of friends. So nobody else can access the stream. You guys will all be able to access the stream because you have the link. You'll be able to access that video anytime you want because you'll have the link. Now the drawback to that is other people, if you would share that link with somebody, or say one of you decides to share it to Twitter, then anybody clicks on that link can watch that video, or that there is a drawback to it. But that's how the private works. It's still on there. It's just selective people can watch it. And there is selective content on here that are from adult platforms that's on YouTube, which they denied during the Judicial Committee. You know, first thing I want to state when it came to that Judicial Committee, you know, Facebook, Google, Twitter examining the content filtering practices of social media giants. I do recommend you guys take some time, watch that video. It's going to piss most of you off just because of how things were done. Because you see the political aspect of it, where, you know, I hate to use the labels, but you could tell the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. All the Democrats wanted to do was bash Trump, say what he did was unconstitutional, that we shouldn't be talking about this. We should be holding an emergency Judicial Committee meeting and talking about dealing with what Trump did. That's all the left wanted to talk about before they would even question the people there. And then some went on as far as to say, this is ridiculous. This doesn't even concern us. You're a private sector. We shouldn't even be talking to you. We can't make laws make you do anything. And that was the I can't remember what senator said that. Yes, distractions. The fact is, they don't want the truth coming out there. Just like one senator asked, and I believe it was Mr. Poe. He asked every single one of them, Facebook, YouTube, which YouTube, understand this, was also, the person that was there was also representing Google, since it is part of Google, just like Facebook was also representing Instagram and WhatsApp, and Twitter, which Twitter by itself stands alone, wasn't representing any other thing, not even Periscope, which kind of shocked me. But he asked them, and it was a simple, straightforward question. Okay, we hear you talking about the Republicans. Just a sec. Let me pop up my Hangout so I know I'm not getting cut off. And I'm going to stop sharing, just show my ugly mug. But he asked a simple question. What about North Korea? What about China? What about Israel? I'm not sure if he used Israel, but I'm throwing it in there. He said 3 names. He's like, what about these countries? Anywhere, did you find anywhere that these countries have influenced or meddled on the platforms? You know, I keep hearing every time a Democrat asks that you can give the exact numbers and quote numbers and statistics of Russian interference, but what about China? What about North Korea? What about Israel? And he asked Facebook first. Facebook's like kept on, you know, the spin game, not wanting to answer the question. Oh, we know Russia, this many Russians. He's like, that's not what I asked. What about China? What about North Korea? How many of those did you catch? Man, he had to repeat the question like 6 times to the Facebook representative. Then she finally, well, we only looked at the Russians. because that's what we were asked to look at. They ask YouTube. Now YouTube, they're different from Facebook. I'll give respect to that aspect on the YouTube part. But when it comes down to it, she perjured herself just as much as everybody else on the committee that was being interviewed there. She beat around the bush just like everybody else, the other two. You know, they want to go into all our guidelines, this and that, and the same answer, no. All you had was simple yes or no question. Did you do any research? No. Well, I can't answer that. I have to get back with you with the with that question. Now that was the other way to avoid the question. I'll get back with you later with that information. Of course, they don't want that information to be made public during a public event and a public hearing that's open to the public, because then it goes against the narrative. It goes against, hey, it just wasn't Russia. It was China. In fact, we can go clear back to, I hate saying it because I couldn't stand the man, still can't stand the man, Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney has done many interviews talking about the Chinese interference in our country, from the internet to our markets and corporate espionage. The biggest violator out there, it's not Russia, it's been China. But they don't want to talk about that. It goes against the status quo, the narrative they keep trying to push. Blame it all on the Russians. So they went down, finally asked the Twitter guy. Oh, he gave the same thing. Oh, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I'll give it to you after, get with you after the session and get you that information. So at least the Facebook person finally was able to admit that, no, we didn't look at other countries. We only looked at Russia because that's what we were asked to. Now, the guy from Twitter, his whole thing, well, we're banning 96 million a day or a week. We adhere to our guidelines and our policies. Those are the laws that we go by. Well, he was asked about the case that's going on in federal court, where the federal judge basically said, we can sue Twitter. And this senator pointed out that, Twitter's attorney basically said, we have the right to ban women, gays, by our terms of service and our laws. And, the guy's like, well, that's, trying to avoid the question. Well, you'd have to refer to our laws and regulations. And the senator's like, well, that's not what I'm asking. Do you have the right, hypothetically, to ban a woman or a gay? And the guy's like, hypothetically, yes, by our rules and laws, we have that right as a service to deny that people that. Notice the word hypothetically was used. Hypothetically, by dude saying yes or no, it's hypothetical, therefore he couldn't be perjure himself, or it can't be used against him because it was a hypothetical question. It was a question in theory, not saying that it would happen. Honestly, this thing wouldn't have took 3 hours if people would have just asked questions and stayed stuck to the matter at hand. But we had various people that want to interrupt, take 3 minutes out of their 5 minutes allotted time to talk about, we shouldn't be having this conversation, it's irrelevant, we should be dealing with the matter at hand, and that is how Trump has embarrassed this country, and that action needs to be taken. That was pretty much, well, the whole Democratic thing was, in fact, the first 10 minutes in, the first Democrat that was asked instantly tried to put to vote an emergency session of the Judicial Committee dealing with just that fact, going after Trump, to where they had to take a vote and it couldn't be objected to. The vote was 10 yeas, 12 nays. Think about that, because there was many senators that wasn't there at the time of the vote. It passed, or it was denied by 2 votes. When this very issue that they're talking about is very important, as one senator pointed out, this is a very important issue because we're dealing with people's rights, their constitutional rights to have freedom of expression, not be censored, not be bullied, because that's what this is. Censorship is bullying. They want to, YouTube wants, Facebook want to talk about bullying. That's what you're doing when you censor our opinions and views. I don't like Alex Jones. I've made that good and clear. But, few of the members on there were clearly singling out Alex Jones because it's quite easy to do. That's part of the design system. That's why he's gets away with what? Because they'd ask, well, why haven't you terminated his Facebook page? Why haven't you terminated his YouTube page? Well, we've removed certain videos. See, now here's where the education part comes in here. If you talk about certain people, your video will be removed. Do not talk about anybody that's under the age of 18, guys. Do not film anybody that's under the age of 18. For those that don't believe me, actually, I'll go show you here in a second. Let me go to my creator studio. Let's see if it's still up. Now, last week, when I did videos, this is something I noticed that they were adding to underneath where you select what playlist you want. I think I took a screen capture of it. I'll have to go look. So we'll just go edit the economic system. Broken systems. One I did Monday because it was still there Monday. Yes, there it is. Let me share screens here. This is part of educating ourselves. That's why, as long and drawn out as that 3-hour video is, there was key things that were talked about that you need to be aware of. And I'm going to rewatch it over the weekend, and I'm going to edit out those points. Since it's public domain, it's public use, because you can go to .government.org and download the actual committee meeting. It's archived for the public. Let me make sure I'm presenting to everyone. Okay. Do minors appear in your video? This is under my edit. So when I finish this and go to edit it, this is what is appearing under the playlist. Do minors appear in your video? Make sure you follow our policies around child safety on YouTube and comply with labor laws obligations you may have. Looking for overall content guidance. Our community guidelines help you steer clear of YouTube, or steer. My bad. Steer clear of trouble. Ensure that YouTube remains a place where creators, advertisers, and viewers can thrive. I'm not monetized. I don't care about your advertisers, because your advertisers are forcing you to censor people, are forcing you to control certain narratives. All your advertisers, you need to take them off the creators part and put them on your paid platform of YouTube TV. But see, this is the drawback to YouTube's updated policies and guidelines. As I've pointed out, it's just not YouTube's policies we're dealing with. We got to deal with Google's policy. Then those that monetize, we have to deal with AdWords policies. And by AdWords policies, you can't do nothing. Smoking a cigarette, done. Instant flag. Report inappropriate content. Some of this is common sense, I agree with. We rely on YouTube community members to report content that they find inappropriate. Unfortunately, that gets abused. People just don't like a person and they try to flag it and hope they get their video taken down. And that shouldn't be the case. If you come across content that you believe violates, I'm going to back up for a second to what I just said, how people will flag certain content. A senator in the Judicial Committee brought up this point. Well, how long does it take for the appeal process to go through? And they were asking this to YouTube. YouTube's like, oh, it varies. I really can't give you an answer to that. And he's like, well, why not? Is it right away? Does it take a day, 2 days? Then he went on to point out, because if it takes, 4 or 5 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours a week, by then the topic that they may have been talking about that might be important is no longer a trending thing or no longer the talking point of that time. And therefore, by doing that practice and not responding to it immediately, you're therefore censoring that content. He brought up a very good point. And actually, I think that was the representative of Ohio that brought that up. Child endangerment policy. Sexualization of minors, which has no place anywhere. We strictly prohibit sexually explicit content featuring minors and content that sexually exploits minors. Uploading, commenting, or engaging in activity that sexualizes minors may result in content being removed, and the account may be terminated. In cases where videos contain child sexual abuse imagery, our team reports it to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, which they should. I firmly support that right there. But what I don't support is the fact that many of us know, especially some of us that, people, those of you that have kids and let the kids watch YouTube, the children versions of YouTube, we find people and they're talking about adult themes. When I say adult themes, I'm talking about transgenderism, homosexuality to children. Some, you're not supposed to be you're supposed to be above 13 to be on Facebook and YouTube. But, that don't really apply. I know kids that are younger that parents let them watch because they have, children type stuff for younger ages that they watch. But they also have content that's directed to the children that talks about transgenderism, which should not be taught to anybody over 18. Our children should not be adhered to this. Like I said, YouTube, you shouldn't have messed with my stream. You're violating your own policies by that content. By the very wording of your content, of your policies. I know, but don't get me wrong, I already know the other wording that's in your other policy once you read it further. We're not liable. I get that. I understand that. That's the ultimate go screw yourself. You can't do anything to us. I get that. But certain federal agencies might not get that. Certain federal judges might not just get that concept, because you do have in your terms of service, and you do have videos that are promoting transgenderism to children under 18, to children that are 13, 14, 15, even younger, which I find very harmful to their mental growth and mental stability. Because we do have harmful and dangerous acts involving minors. So therefore, you are violating your very own policies. And I have plenty of parents that will speak out on this. In fact, I'm going to be doing that. I will be recording it, having a live conference call in with some parents on Uber Conference, and I'll record it on OBS, and I will be uploading it to here, BitChute, DTube, Patreon as an MP3 file. Like I said, all these platforms out there, you can't censor us. We're still going to get our message out, no matter how much you try. And that's exactly what you're doing. You've been trying. But it's important that you guys find time to read this. I mean, it's ridiculously long because it's just not YouTube that you have to read. You have to go and read Google because it applies to YouTube. Then you have to go read AdWords if you want to monetize. It's a non-ending cycle that they keep forcing us and forcing us to adhere to. Then the other part, the last 5 minutes of the video, for those that want to just skip to the really good part, which I think there was a lot of good parts and throughout the sections, I've pointed out just some aspects because they also talk about how the algorithms work. They also talk about what they use. Now, YouTube did back away from this. They found it was problematic, as she put it, the fact checkers, but yet they still are using Wikipedia and putting the links above your videos, referring it to Wikipedia. You know what? Here's a suggestion to YouTube. You guys might like this. Feel free to use it. I don't want no money or nothing for this suggestion. It's a great idea. If you want to refute people's content, instead of putting a Wikipedia link, by the way, Wikipedia says the Holocaust never happened. You can't edit it. But there's other things on there that anybody can get into and edit and change. So therefore, you cannot use Wikipedia as a fact-checking source. So when you post a Wikipedia link, you're discrediting yourselves. I've done enough investigations on it to the point I pissed Wikipedia off enough to get my IP address banned when I called them on their bullshit. When I found out the truth, and I still have the emails where there's nobody there governing what is posted. There's nobody there adminning or moderating what's posted. It's up to the individual writers to come together as a collective to make those decisions. And guess what? They're not going to turn on each other. You know, sometimes you end up four or five of the creators are for the very article you're trying to get corrected or taken down because it violates the community guidelines. Because they're denying people the right to edit and fix it. But in their mission statement, anybody can edit. So therefore, you can't use that as a fact-checking source. In fact, do your research and fact-check Wikipedia, and you'll find the true answer that everybody knows. Everybody in the academic world knows, and all tell you, do not ever use Wikipedia as a factual source. You can use it to get started because some articles are well done. I don't want to bash all Wikipedia. There's some great academic writers that go there and post factual stuff, knows how to post the notations and notes and links so you can find the information. It's always bad apples in every group and everything we have. They have the few bad apples that screw everything up. Catch you later, Rebecca. But they did break that out. So it's like I said, there was some really educational stuff going on in that committee, but it's just long drawn out. But they talked about the algorithm, which is important to us, how things are working, how they use certain words, catchphrases to pick up the flag content. It's important that you know these things. It's many things we've covered here in just this year alone with the United We Stand series, where we pointed those things out, caught the very thing, the manipulating the chat room, deleting people's comment, not allowing links to go through. They've been caught censoring already. Now, to kind of finish this up and put the punctuation on this three-ring circus of a judicial committee, and I use that term properly because it was a three-ring circus. You watch it, you'll get the point. It was, and I wish more Americans would watch those open Senate and open committees because they would be really pissed off at how their taxpayer dollars are being wasted. They'd be really pissed off to see the true colors of these politicians. on all sides. It's just not Democrats. It's the Republicans. It's the independents. It's the libertarians. Whatever label they choose to use. It's a mockery. But the head committee guy that was the head chair for this committee asked Facebook and gave Facebook a document. Well, the document consisted of a Facebook page. It had a post talking about the NRA, bashing, calling them out. That was and as the senator said, which violates your policies from what you told us. Then there was the other one, which I'm not going to publicly say and discuss, but basically, remember what happened last year at the baseball game? But yeah, this post and picture was basically telling people to go do that should be doing that every day, and just directing it at one label, which violates Facebook's terms of service, which is, promoting violence, which goes against their very own mission statement. But yet, the post was still there. They didn't remove it. They didn't delete the page. So he asked, well, I had, other people that work for me actually look into this and file and report it. Well, the response we got, and you can read, she had the thing to read. The response that we got that we didn't find with this violated Facebook's policies. Wow. I mean, if that wasn't damning enough, they took the very same thing to California, to their executive office, and asked the executives the very same question. Why is this page up? Why haven't this content been removed? It clearly violates your policies in terms of service. Well, for that, their answer, well, we'll look into it. Now, the said two images have been removed. But how long did it take? That's right. Forever. But yet the question is, why is this page still allowed to be up? And this is where I agree with that senator. It shouldn't be allowed to be up. It is promoting violence and potential murder. That's what that page is promoting by the post. That page should be removed, and by all rights, anybody that's affiliated with that page should be investigated. Because you're threatening federal officials, you're threatening Republicans, which is a crime in itself, which is supposed to resolve an immediate investigation. But, I guess to Facebook, that was okay. Oh, that page can stay. Knowing full damn well they're going to continue the process because I recognize the page, the name of it. I've seen many people talk about the very same page that's been on there for over a year. That's done the same thing. That probably still has posts to incite violence. But the problem is they don't call us into the committee. They don't call them people that deal with this stuff, that see this stuff happening, because they don't want to hear our story. Well, one, we're just the people. We're just the common folk in their eyes. We're beneath them. We shouldn't have a say because if our voices were allowed to be heard, it would go against their narrative. But we're the very ones that these things are affecting. Where's the justice in that? Why are you calling these corporations? Why don't you bring in real witnesses, people that have experienced it? Even bring in those that haven't experienced it to hear their opinions and views. That's what the committee's job is to do. It's not just hear the corporation side of it. When they were asked, well, how much ad revenue or monopoly basically you have over the internet, they didn't want to give an exact answer. They just wanted to quote, "Oh, we only get like 6% of the ad revenue." That wasn't the question that was asked, because they get more funding, more advertisers than the Minds, than Gab, than Worldy, than Steam at DTube. It's a controlled system. They have a monopoly over it. Even though these sites could be better, turn out to be better than YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It could be a very competitive market. I have nothing against a competitive market, as long as everybody's treated fairly, as long as nobody can hold a monopoly over the whole system. And that's what we have, is a monopoly over the system, a monopoly that is being used and abused by advertising and other corporations to censor other individuals. In closing, I want to talk about the last part of this title. How we have politicians and certain members and news media outlets that seem to prefer war over peace. Since that was, the biggest trending thing yesterday. But, it wasn't, the aspect wasn't trending that it was, hey, we need to find a way to get along. Putting peace over war anytime should be our ultimate goal. We never should want to ever walk into a war, create a war, start a war. But we have this mentality of certain groups and certain media outlets that, oh, he's committed treason. He's made everybody, he disrespected every American. No, he didn't. He chose a peaceful route without conflict. Love him or hate him, agree with him or disagree with him, and I disagree with him on a few things here of late. But we're not at war with North Korea right now, are we? He chose a peaceful way to bring it about. I can't stand Vladimir Putin on many levels, but I can respect one thing about him: the fact that he is anti-New World Order, anti-globalism. He's been so since the start. He opposes it. Trump somewhat seems to oppose that very concept. That's what they fear, because they're going against the globalist establishment. They're going against the New World Order. It has nothing to do with Russiagate, which we all know. Where's the proof? I have yet to see any proof. I hear a bunch of mouths flapping, but I haven't seen a lick of proof. And that's the thing. Plenty of opinions and views to go around on that matter. But thus far, there's been no evidence shown to the American people, shown to the world. Just a biased media's opinion and view. Then anybody talks differently against it, oh, they're supposed to be fake news. They're a conspiracy theorist. Well, no, I'm entitled to my opinions and views and my expressions. And that's clearly what I talk about: my opinions and views, how I feel on the matter, what I see and perceive things as. Does it mean you're going to agree? Probably not. Does it mean you might go do some research and question some things? Maybe. And that's the point. To get you to question things, further research things, come up with your own conclusion, your own opinions and views. That's what it's supposed to be about. What one person's truth may be to somebody else is complete opposite, because they've experienced two different things, or they were brought up in a different culture to where they see that differently, and that's not their truth. Something that you guys all should understand. But I'm going to wrap this up just because I'd much rather just go off on what's happened while trying to do this stream. And that's not the point. No matter how mad I get and how much it pisses me off to have it happen, to have my stream cut and terminated. Then when I was trying to talk about the same very article in this new stream, to have it freeze up, log out, almost terminated again. Luckily it didn't happen this time. Yeah, it does make me mad because I showed you the process that I had go through before I even start my live stream. All the sites I go to upload the video, to put in the descriptions. I mean, it's a lot easier when it's already there. You can just replace the embed link or the video URL link. But at the same time, they missed the intro where I talked about pirate radio podcast. Check it out. Gave the link in the chat. But yet they claim they don't censor. They claim, of course, they'll claim, oh, that was just a glitch or connection error, which, sorry, it wasn't a connection error. I've got perfect connection. But now I do got a piece of evidence to show for it because, hey, you're going to keep playing these games, I'm going to start mirroring it. Start recording every video to do separately. So when things like that happen, I'll have it, and I'll just forward it to the senator on the Judicial Committee so they can use it as evidence. That's the part that kills me. They can respect other countries' laws and other countries' policies. But when it comes to the United States, they cannot respect our Constitution. They can't respect our freedom of speech. They rather try to put in place EU policies that restrict freedom of speech. As much as I don't like hate speech, our Supreme Court has ruled very clearly on that matter. It is constitutional. Just like burning the flag, they say is constitutional, which I strongly disagree with, but I respect. That is the law. They have that right, so therefore I might find it very distasteful and dislike it, but I'll give them the respect that they have, that they can do that under the laws of our country. And I'm all for the bullying policies that these sites have enacted. We don't need that in this time of age. But unfortunately, they use the same rules to say we're the bullies. They don't enforce it on the real bullies just because we have a different view and opinion. We all know how words work. We know verbs from nouns. Verbs are actions. Nouns are expressions, or pronouns are expressions, or adjectives are expressions. It's when it becomes a verb that it becomes an action. Therefore, when it becomes an action, it is not protected under the Constitution because you're no longer expressing. Now you're acting. There is a big difference. There is common sense. Maybe it's time people go back to basic English class and relearn verbs and pronouns and adjectives and nouns and the proper use of them in a sentence. Just saying. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't know. Maybe Saturday or Sunday I will do the one on war. I am going to do and upload the MGM lawsuits. That's apparently I can't talk about it during a live stream without getting my stream messed with. But I'll be on as a co-host Friday night at 11 on Pirate Radio Podcast. I want to give my wishes and hope the best for Kaser as he travels abroad. May you come home safe. And I'll keep the seat warm for you until you get back on Pirate Radio Podcast. I will see you guys all in the next one, which I'm pretty sure probably a bunch of people aren't going to see this video. Just from the way things went, but I guess that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just gotta have a little patience and keep on doing, keep on going. I'll see you guys on the next video.